Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a really profound, honestly kind of heavy topic today. When church hurts, but isolation is not the answer. Feeling fundamentally hurt by your faith community is, well, it's a deeply quiet yet incredibly heavy tension to carry. It is such a painful paradox, right? The very place you went to for connection and healing suddenly becomes the source of your pain. But stick with me, because we are going to explore exactly how to navigate that tension together.
So this brings us to a really confusing question. Why should you even stay connected when the place you expected to find healing becomes, well, totally confusing? And I just want to validate your experience right out of the gate. You showed up, you really tried to belong, you opened up your life, and somehow it still hurts. It leaves you wondering, wouldn't it just be a million times easier and way less painful to pack up and just do this whole spiritual journey completely on your own?
We absolutely need to acknowledge right now that none of this is in your head. It's not imaginary. Let's be real. People in church are inconsistent. Leaders, for sure, do not always get it right. And you have been hurt precisely in the place where you expected safety. Church hurt just cuts so much deeper, doesn't it? Because it's coming from the exact same people who share your faith and your highest values. It feels like a literal betrayal of the core things you hold dearest. Acknowledging that harsh reality is the very first step in actually moving forward.
And when you're misunderstood or let down like that, your brain just naturally kicks into overdrive with an automatic defense mechanism. It's a super logical three-step response to pain. You withdraw, you protect yourself, and you stay distant. I mean, it is the most natural response in the world. You touch a hot stove, you yank your hand back. You're just trying to make sure you don't get burned a second time.
But here is where it gets tricky. There's a massive contrast between what isolation promises us and what it actually delivers. The lie tells you that pulling away completely is the answer. And honestly, at first, it feels incredibly peaceful. You don't have to navigate difficult personalities and you don't risk being disappointed again. It's safe. But over time, that distance slowly, quietly becomes a limitation on your own spiritual and emotional growth. Staying quiet feels like peaceful protection, but what you're actually doing is isolating your own potential.
And this actually ties perfectly into some ancient wisdom. Do not neglect meeting together. Now, this isn't just some archaic, outdated rule. It's a profound psychological and spiritual truth. You see, God never designed our spiritual growth to happen in a vacuum of total isolation. Even the strongest believers, the deepest thinkers, and the most resilient leaders throughout all of history, they were shaped within a community, not by keeping their distance.
So here is our first major takeaway to anchor on today. Don't isolate your growth. What feels like necessary protection right now, doing it all completely alone, actually stifles your long-term capacity to love, to be loved, and to evolve. We literally need friction to smooth out our rough edges, and we need other people to mirror back the areas where we, frankly, still need to grow. So the real game changer here is completely redefining our expectations. Let's look at the concept of a formational community. This is a space designed not for perfect people, but for people who are in process. It's where your character is shaped through tension and grace. Sometimes we expect a church or a community to be this finished, flawless product, when, by its very design, it's meant to be formational. It's a messy workshop where literally everyone is still under construction.
Thousands of years ago, David captured this whole idea perfectly when he wrote, "As for the saints who are in the earth, they are the excellent ones, in whom is all my delight." Now, he is definitely not describing flawless people here. He's talking about set-apart people who are still very much growing, failing, making mistakes, and learning. His delight wasn't in their perfection, it was in their shared pursuit of something way bigger than themselves.
Navigating this kind of messy formational community means we have to accept three pretty stark realities. First, you will encounter flaws. Second, you will see inconsistency. And third, you will absolutely have to navigate differences. But here's the thing. Encountering these things doesn't mean something is deeply wrong with the community. It actually means you're in the exact environment where real, authentic human growth happens. If you go in expecting perfection, you are just setting yourself up for constant disappointment.
Which brings us to this incredibly grounding thought. Still connected, still being formed. Staying connected to imperfect people is exactly how the process of spiritual growth works. It works through them. Think of it like being on a potter's wheel. We're all still spinning. If you jump off the wheel every single time things get a little dizzy or uncomfortable, the clay is never going to take its final shape.
This brings up a really massive cultural contrast. Modern culture is screaming at us all the time,
Protect your peace. Just cut people off the minute they offend you. It champions this total detachment as the ultimate form of self-care. But deep, tested wisdom says something entirely different. It says, protect your growth. Stay connected, but with discernment. It's all about engaging safely and setting really healthy boundaries, rather than just bolting at the very first sign of friction. And guys, this is the paradigm shift that changes everything about how we interact with others. It's moving from I will engage when people are better to I will engage because God is working in people. Now, this mindset absolutely doesn't ignore or excuse your pain. Not at all. But it refuses to let that pain define your entire posture toward humanity. It essentially replaces bitterness with this incredibly resilient sense of hope. So how does this formation actually happen in real life? Well, it happens through 4 distinctly human and, often messy interactions. Conversations that challenge your perspective, conflicts that force you to actually practice forgiveness, corrections that humble you, and community that holds you through all of it. These imperfect, highly uncomfortable moments, they aren't meant to break you. They are literally the exact tools used to shape you and expand your capacity to love deeply.
Let's really cement that idea. Real, mature love, the kind of love that actually grows you, is formed in tension and in those uncomfortable spaces. I mean, it is incredibly easy to love people when they're easy, right? But the love that genuinely transforms who you are, that happens when extending grace feels completely undeserved, when apologizing stings your pride, and when staying connected feels super inconvenient.
Okay, so practically speaking, how do we actually do this? It really comes down to applying wisdom to our connections. Number 1, separate God from people's imperfections. People will misrepresent him, sure, but they do not redefine him. Number 2, stay connected, but use wisdom. You do not have to be best friends with everyone. 3, please don't let hurt become your core identity. And 4, practice grace intentionally. These are real, actionable steps to protect yourself without losing your foundation.
There's this ancient proverb that just hits the nail on the head. Guard your heart. Notice, it specifically says to guard it, not close it off entirely behind some massive brick wall. Setting boundaries, being discerning, figuring out who is actually safe to be vulnerable with, that is not rejecting community. It's a necessary protection for your ongoing growth. Because remember, a guarded heart still has a door that can be opened.
Keep this anchor in mind, present but protected. You really don't have to disappear just to stay safe. You can stay whole, stay secure, have incredibly clear boundaries, and still be wonderfully, actively present in a community. It absolutely does not have to be this all-or-nothing approach. So addressing the deep pain directly is crucial here. We need to make a vital distinction. What happened to you absolutely matters. It informs you, it teaches you, and the healing process is very real. But it is not who you are. It should not define you. While the hurt is undeniably real, you cannot let it quietly limit your future or dictate your capacity for joy down the road.
Hurt, but not held there. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. Healing is movement. Healing is not hiding. The process of spiritual formation is still writing a story, way beyond the chapter that broke you. You are completely allowed to carry the scar without letting the wound hold you captive in the past.
Ultimately, this brings us to the core thesis of our explainer today. The goal is not perfect community. The goal is formed character within a community. You simply don't grow by completely avoiding broken people. You grow by learning how to purposefully, gracefully walk alongside them, knowing that, hey, you are just as much a work in progress as they are. We're going to end on this thought today. It's a simple yet provocative intention you can carry forward. God, help me not to withdraw because of pain. Teach me how to stay connected with wisdom, grow through people, and love without losing my foundation. Let that be your pivot today, a pivot toward embracing real spiritual formation. So, what would it look like for you to step back into the messy workshop this week? Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me. Keep seeking out that formational community, and I'll catch you next time.